Go for the Throat is a card that is all over the place in Standard. Almost everyone switching to that card over Infernal Grasp and Cut Down. People are playing like 4 of this and then 2 Cut Down and 2 Infernal Grasp, or maybe 4. I've seen even decks playing 4 Go for the Throat and 4 Infernal Grasp and just cutting Cut Down altogether. But I even put Go for the Throat in my Pioneer Rakdos midrange deck over Dreadbore, because I think having the instant speed interaction against decks like Greasefang is very valuable, and the only real artifact creature that you care about is the Skyship, the boat. And that's a really big problem. So maybe in that case, you do want to play a card like Heartless Act in the board for a card like that, or maybe just a Braid. I do have a Braid in my sideboard right now, but I have 4 Go for the Throats in the main deck, and it's been really, really good in the tournaments that I've played, and I really haven't missed Dreadbore at all. The only time I really would miss Dreadbore is against Mono Green Devotion, being able to kill Kiora or something, but I mean, you can always just attack and kill things like that. But as far as Go for the Throat is concerned, we'll talk about that first before we go to Misery Shadow, and I'll go to Michael Kritz for the Rakdos Gang conversation. Are you playing this card in your Rakdos deck?
It will be in my deck. At least 1 copy will, 1 to 2 copies. I know you're high up on the card. I think for me, probably 1 to 2 copies, because I like that Dreadbore can hit Planeswalkers, which, can be a problem in Pioneer. But I do really like what Go for the Throat is doing, enabling. It's kind of like a modern day Doomblade. We can have what a Doomblade is in one of our jargon episodes, but I really like Go for the Throat. It's an amazing choice for a lot of these decks as another way to deal with what people have going on.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to get a play set of them because I never got my Heartless Acts back from you after Summit.
Oh my god, I saw the Heartless Acts and I was like, no, I have your Duresses too.
Additionally, the ones I got the ones for my mono black list, and I have the ones from the Warhammer one, because it's like you can play different versions of
the Go for the Throat from that too.
Yeah, so I got 4 copies of the Warhammer one from Card Kingdom. So
well, yeah, I forgot to give those back to you when I was leaving, because I had to leave pretty early on Sunday instead of leaving Monday like I wanted to. But I do have your Heartless Acts and I do have your Duresses.
Yeah, I was going to say you were under duress.
I was just under duress.
Cards you did not give back to me. Yeah,
that's true. I saw them and I was like, wait, those are definitely airballs.
100%, yes. And I'm never seeing them again.
You're never seeing them again. I'm selling them actually. No, I'm not.
Wow. But to your point about Dreadbore versus Go for the Throat, I saw your poll on this on Twitter, but I didn't see the result. When I voted for Go for the Throat as the card I would more want in my Rakdos deck, it was losing at the time. What ended up happening with that poll?
Oh, it was a massive landslide loss for Go for the Throat. Just everyone loved Dreadbore. It was like 77% Dreadbore, like 23% Go for the Throat. And I feel like that's bizarre, because like it's an instant and it costs 1 and a black and not red-black. Like I feel like being a sorcery is just such a huge downside in a deck where deck like Rakdos, where you want to see what angle your opponent wants to shoot from on their turn and then punish their angle.
Well, especially because the things that Go for the Throat misses on, the artifact creatures, they're vehicles that Dreadbore doesn't hit anyway. Like, it's such a bizarre... I'm not a Rakdos player, really. I dabble, but it's bizarre to me that people like Dreadbore in a deck where the main plan for dealing with Planeswalkers is just to attack them down.
Yeah, the only Planeswalker that you can't attack down is Kiora. Like, Teferi, you can attack. Teferi Hero Dominaria, you can attack down. Narset, you can attack down. Wandering Emperor, you can attack down. Karn Great Creator, you always attack down, because you always have a 3-power creature after they minus it once, which puts it on 3 loyalty. You're attacking down almost every Planeswalker that's in the meta. And with the only exception of Kiora, which is why I currently have like 1 copy of Dreadbore in my whole entire 75. Because sure, I can hit a Kiora every once in a while, but maybe I put 1 Heartless Act in like a Braid just because I can hit the Skyship. But
yeah, because you have the Heartless Acts now.
Yeah, because I own them now. I own them, they're mine. No, but yeah, to your point, Dreadbore can't hit the vehicles anyway unless they block with it first, and they don't want to put they already think you have Dreadbore in your deck, so they don't want to like crew to block with the ship because it could get Dreadbore, so they just never block with it. So it was super interesting that a lot of people on Twitter, and this poll got like hundreds of votes, and it was 77% against Go for the Throat.
Yeah,
I think I'll just chalk it up to them not knowing. They don't understand.
Yeah, it's the people who are wrong.
Yeah, they're wrong. I can't be wrong. All right, let's move on to Misery Shadow. This is a card that I think I'm not playing this card right now because I'm still playing Kalitas. I guess you could play both, but for Misery Shadow, I don't know if it's making its way into Modern, but I'll go to you, Michael, first. Are you seeing this in Rakdos decks popping up?
Yeah, I mean, like, same, to quote this, or to reference the same person, Eli Loveman had it in his deck for the RC, and he got to the top 8, I believe. And so I think, right, a lot of people look at the you need to take in the creature for both the things it does and not just for the one. And so yes, it does exile your opponent's creatures, but the thing that is really awesome too is it's a good mana sink. Like, if you're not, Rakdos, one powerful thing about Rakdos is it has many ways to use its mana, and so it thus smooths out what you're doing each turn. It maximizes, your turns, and being able to leverage that Misery Shadow to attack with it, and it makes your opponent's blocks very awkward. And then you can choose to pump or not pump, or it gives your main phase 2 so much more room to breathe, because your opponent doesn't know what to do. They don't know to remove the Misery they don't know how to deal with Misery Shadow and block. So then it sets you up for having more smoother turns, whether that's leveraging mana and pumping Misery Shadow, or if it's using mana in your second main phase because your opponent didn't respond or tried to block your Misery Shadow. So I think you need to take the creature in as a twofold thing, and I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, it just exiles." I'm like, no. It's doing double duty.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Like, if I'm getting attacked from a Misery Shadow and my opponent has like 3 mana open because they just played their land on turn 3, like, I'm never blocking. Whereas if that's like a different creature, I might block. Or if opponent has 3 mana open and I'm attacking with my 3/3 Graveyard Trespasser, I'm also not attacking. So it makes it hard to attack and also kind of makes it hard to block. So it's like, it just makes it super awkward. How do you feel about this card, Airball?
Yeah, I feel like this card is actually a lot better in like Standard than it is in Pioneer, only because of exactly what Michael's saying, that it's a good mana sink and it's an effective way to use your mana when you don't otherwise have a good way to use it. Right, Rakdos right now, there's no shortage of things to do in Pioneer for the most part. But in Standard, where you don't have a whole lot of utility lands, if you're playing mono black or something like that, then you often do just have 3, 4, 5 mana to pump into this in the late game, and all of a sudden it's just a 7/7, just doming your opponent. This card has impressed me more than most other cards, and I think I missed on it.
Additionally, something I do want to add is, and it's something that you don't quite understand either by looking at the card. I'm saying, y'all, not y'all, but the royal y'all.
Yeah, it couldn't be me.
Y'all. Couldn't never be me. But the other thing it does, even especially in Arena, is it conceals information, because you can activate it any time. And if you have open mana, your opponent doesn't know whether that mana is whether there's a stop or something happening because you have a spell in hand, or you can pump Misery Shadow. In a weird way, starting from turn 2, it really puts the emphasis on your opponent knowing how to read you, knowing to read the meta. And it's just an amazing card. I think it's doing more than people realize.
Yeah, in Standard, there is the most powerful mana sink possible, I think, in mono black already, and that's the 1 mana 1/1 that can pump itself and have it evolve and give Death Touch and start drawing cards. Like I would rather put my mana into that than pump it into Misery Shadow, but now you have another thing to pump your mana into. So you're always using all of your mana every turn. So yeah, that's a really nice thing to be doing when you're playing Standard.